Hello and welcome to today's lecture on law of demand. Before explaining the law of demand, let us first understand what demand means. Now, demand for a commodity is defined as the amount of goods and services that a consumer is willing to purchase at a particular price and at particular time. So because demand is what a consumer is purchasing, so it is the consumer side. When we will be looking at demand, we will be looking from the consumer's perspective. So with the change in the price and with the change in the time, the level of the demand will also change. Now there are three important things that are needed to make up the demand. The first one is desire. The second one is purchasing power. And the third one is willingness to buy. Now, the three things, desire, purchasing power and willingness to buy, are very important, and all the three factors are needed to make up the demand. If any one of them is missing, the demand will not be framed, or there will be no demand for a particular product. Now, a desire simply means the intensified wants. When a person particularly desires, or his needs or his wants for a particular commodity gets intensified, so he says that he has a desire for a particular commodity. Or then if he or she has a desire for a particular commodity, it must be backed by the particular purchasing power, or he must have enough income to buy, or enough savings to buy that commodity. And lastly, it is his willingness to purchase that commodity. Finally, that makes up the demand. Now, the law of demand was coined by Alfred Marshall. The Professor Alfred Marshall said that if you have to sell more, you have to keep the prices low, which means that if the price increases, the demand would decrease. So there is an inverse relationship that flows between the price and the demand. It can be explained as follows. If we draw a demand schedule for a particular commodity, any hypothetical commodity, now as the prices are increasing, the quantity demanded must fall. Now this is a simple demand schedule of a commodity. If we plot this on a graph, if we plot these two, the price and the quantity on a graph, by taking price on the y-axis and the quantity on the x-axis, we will typically get a demand curve like this. The demand curve is downward sloping. Let me make it up. The demand curve is downward sloping curve, which shows that there is an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded, which means that when price is 1, the quantity demanded is 4, and when the price is 3, the quantity demanded is 2. So there will be a decrease in demand with the increase in the price. So now Now after analyzing what a demand means, now let us understand what are the various determinants of demand. The first and the most important thing that determines the demand is the price of the commodity itself. The second one is the price of related commodities. The third one is the level of income of household. The fourth one is taste and preferences of consumers. Let me take each of them one by one. The first one is the price of a commodity. As we know that now if the price of a commodity increases, the demand would fall. So there is an inverse relationship that exists between the price and the quantity demanded or the demand for a particular commodity by taking price, quantity demanded on the x-axis and price on the y-axis. It happens because of the two effects. Firstly, the income effect, and the second one is the substitution effect. Now, assuming that my income is $1,000 and a commodity is selling for $100, which means that I can purchase 10 units of a commodity. Now, if my income remains same as $1,000 and the price of a commodity falls to $50, in this case I can buy, with the same amount of income, I can purchase 20 units, which means as the price falls from 100 to 50, the quantity demanded increases from 10 units to 20 units. This is known as an income effect. In the another case, the substitution effect, I will explain it after explaining what the related commodities means. The second point, price of related commodities. Now, related commodities are of two types. One is complementary goods and the second one are substitutes. Substitutes are also known as competing goods. Now, the complementary goods are those goods that are used with each other. In other words, they don't compete with each other or they are used simultaneously. A classical example is that of the car and petrol, or pen and ink. You'll find these examples in the books everywhere. Now, substitutes are something, these are the goods that compete with each other or that are used in place of each other. For example, coffee and tea. Now, what will happen to the demand when the goods are complementary goods? Now, suppose if the price of the petrol increases, the demand for the petrol cars would fall. In the similar, so there is an inverse relationship between the demand for coffee and the price of petrol. So in case of a complementary goods, the relationship between the price and the quantity demanded is inverse. Now a reverse scenario is here. Now if I will be able to use coffee and tea in place of each other, so if the price of coffee increases, I would switch to the tea. So the demand of tea is going to increase. Now if I take up the demand of tea over on the x-axis and the price of coffee on the y-axis, I will get a direct relationship. So in the case of substitutes, the relationship between the price of a commodity and its substitute are directly related. Now let me come to the level of income of the household. Now the demand for a particular commodity also depends on the level of the income of the household. So as in many cases, what happens as the average money income of the household increases. Now suppose the income of the household increases and the quantity demanded of a particular good falls. Such commodities are known as inferior goods. Now these are commodities that occupy a small part in consumer's budget. The example can be your shirt buttons. Now, in the another case, if the demand increases and the quantity demanded also increases, however, the increase in quantity demanded is more than the increase in income. The increase in quantity demanded is more than the increase in income. Such commodities are known as luxuries. And now luxury, say for example cars, your ACs, etc. With a small increase in the income, the quantity demanded for these goods increases in the larger proportions. Now the third case, when the income increases but the quantity demanded also increases, however not in the same proportion, or we can say the quantity demanded increases is less than the increase in income. Such goods are known as normal goods, like your foodstuff. A consumer will buy a particular level of a foodstuff even if its income is increasing, although he may buy more food but up to a certain level. That's why the quantity demanded will not be more than the increase in income. Then the last one is taste and preferences of consumers. Now this is known as demonstration effect, or sometimes also called as impulsive buying. Our tastes and the preferences are shaped in what we see in the society. Now suppose you go by a road and you see a new shirt in a garment store and you like it, and then you go and buy it because somehow this demonstration has increased your impulses for buying a particular commodity.